They don't want you to know this. In fact, they've spent billions making sure you never figure it out. Because the moment you understand these 5 secrets, the moment you finally see how the game is actually played, everything changes. Your relationship with money, with work, with time itself, it all shifts, and that is dangerous for them. Their wealth, their power, and their entire empire depend on you not knowing what I'm about to tell you. I've spent the last 7 years studying how billionaires actually build wealth, not what they say in interviews, not the inspirational quotes they post on social media, but what they actually do with their money when no one is watching. I've read through hundreds of SEC filings, analyzed complex tax structures, followed money trails through offshore accounts, and even interviewed people who have worked deep inside these systems. And what I found was shocking, because billionaires don't get rich the way you think they do. And they certainly don't get rich the way they tell you to. They're playing a completely different game, with a different set of rules, a game you were never even told existed. Now, here's the most important part. These aren't just interesting facts. These are the actual mechanisms, the tactical strategies that separate the people who work for money from the people who have money work for them. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly how the system is designed to keep you trapped and, more importantly, how you can start to escape it. But you have to watch all the way through. If you stop at secret number 3, you'll have information, but you won't have any power. It's secret 4 and 5 where everything finally clicks. That's where you see the full picture. That's where you understand why they've been lying to you your whole life. You've been told that if you just work hard, save your money, invest in your 401k, buy a house, and live below your means, you'll eventually build wealth. You've been told that financial success requires education, a steady job, discipline, and a whole lot of patience. You've been told that rich people got rich because they worked harder than you, sacrificed more than you, or took bigger risks. Every single part of that story is designed to keep you exactly where you are. Because while you're busy working hard, saving slowly, and playing by the rules they gave you, billionaires are doing something completely different. And here's the kicker, they're doing it with your money. Let's get into it. Secret number 1. Billionaires don't work for money. They work for assets that generate money while they sleep. This sounds simple, but it's the absolute foundation of everything. When you work a job, you trade your time for money. You get paid for the hours you put in or the tasks you complete. The moment you stop working, the money stops coming in. This is called earned income. It's the most taxed, most limited, and most fragile form of wealth generation there is. Think about it, there's a hard cap on how much you can possibly earn. You only have 24 hours in a day. Eventually your time, your energy, and your body will break down. You are the asset, and when the asset breaks, the income stops. Billionaires operate on a completely different level. Jeff Bezos doesn't pack boxes in an Amazon warehouse. Elon Musk doesn't assemble cars on the Tesla factory floor. Warren Buffett doesn't answer customer service calls. They own the systems. They own the businesses, the stocks, the real estate, the intellectual property. They own the assets that generate income, whether they're asleep, sick, or on vacation on a private island. Their wealth compounds exponentially while yours grows linearly. You're adding, they're multiplying, and that gap just gets wider and wider every single year. Musk didn't start with billions. Bezos didn't start with billions. They started with the knowledge of this first secret. The goal is not to make money, but to acquire assets that make money. Once that mental shift happens, your entire financial strategy changes. You stop asking, how can I earn more money? And you start asking, what assets can I acquire? You stop trading your time for money and start trading your money for more time. Secret number 2. Billionaires use debt as a tool, not a trap. You've been taught that debt is bad, that you should avoid it at all costs, pay it off as quickly as possible, and strive to be debt-free. And for the average person, that advice actually makes sense, because the kind of debt available to you is designed to extract your wealth. I'm talking about credit cards, student loans, car loans, even some mortgages. These are liabilities that do one thing very well: transfer money from your pocket directly to the banks. Billionaires don't use this kind of consumer debt. They use something called leverage. Through leverage, they borrow massive amounts of money at very low interest rates to buy assets that generate income, appreciate in value, and can be refinanced completely tax-free. They borrow against their assets, but they almost never sell them. Why? Because selling an asset triggers capital gains tax. By borrowing against their wealth and instead of selling it, they can access billions in cash without paying a single dollar in taxes on it. This strategy is often called borrow, die. It allows wealth to compound across generations without ever being taxed. This brings us to secret number 3. Billionaires don't pay taxes like you do. In fact, many of them barely pay any taxes at all. And it's not because they're cheating. It's because the tax code is written to reward them and punish you. The system is designed to tax income, not wealth. Billionaires, in the traditional sense, don't really have a high income. Their wealth grows through the appreciation of their assets, which isn't taxed unless they sell. And as we just learned, they don't sell, they borrow. Meanwhile, the tax code is riddled with deductions, credits, depreciation schedules, exemptions, special tax classes, and entire investment zones that are designed specifically for asset owners, not for workers. While you're paying taxes on every dollar you earn, they're using loopholes you've never even heard of to legally shield their fortunes. Now, we get to the really critical part. Secret number 4. Billionaires control information and narratives. This is the master key. If you control the information, you control perception. If you control perception, you control behavior. Billionaires own the major media companies that decide what news you see. They fund the think tanks that produce the expert studies you hear about. They influence policy by lobbying politicians on both sides of the aisle. They shape culture through movies and music. And they use philanthropy as a form of power, allowing them to influence society without any accountability. They don't just make money. They influence what you believe about money, about wealth, about fairness, and about what is even possible for your own life. The story that you can get rich by saving your pennies was very useful for them because it kept you focused on a game you could never win, while they played a different one entirely. And finally, secret number 5. Billionaires think in generations, not years. While most people are stressed about saving for retirement, billionaires are busy planning their dynasties. They use incredibly complex legal structures like trusts, family offices, and estate planning tools, often based in tax havens, that allow their wealth to compound for 100, 200, or even more years without being significantly taxed. They create what are called dynasty trusts that could, in theory, compound their wealth forever. They don't teach their children to go out and get a good job. They teach their children how to manage wealth, how to manage power, how to manage networks, and how to manage the systems that sustain their family's fortune. So yes, you've been lied to. Wealth, on the grand scale, is not built through saving, working hard, and discipline alone. Billionaires build their empires through assets, leverage, tax optimization, information control, and generational structures. And while you probably can't apply these strategies at a billionaire scale right now, you absolutely can apply the principles. You can begin the shift in your own life. Start by focusing on acquiring assets, even small ones. Learn how to use leverage responsibly to buy those assets. Focus on shifting your income from being 100% labor-based to having a portion of it be asset-based. That is how you begin to break free. That's how you escape the system. It starts with knowing the rules of the real game. And now, you do. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content that breaks down how the world really works.